the secret traits of every hot and attractive woman revealed. So what does this all mean for you? It's a call to action. Attractiveness isn't something you're born with or without. It's a living, breathing quality you cultivate, like tending a wild, sprawling garden that grows more vibrant with every season of care, each seed you plant blossoming into something uniquely beautiful over time. It's not a fixed trait handed to you by genetics or a stroke of random luck. It's a deliberate journey, a slow burn process of building habits, shifting your mindset, and stepping into the version of yourself you've always dreamed of becoming, the version that doesn't just turn heads, but makes you feel proud when you catch your own reflection. Start with confidence. Practice standing tall, speaking your mind, and silencing that relentless inner critic with affirmations of your worth. For me, this wasn't instinctual. I used to shrink into myself, hunching over my desk during meetings, convinced my ideas were too small to matter. But one day, I decided to experiment. I sat up straight, looked people in the eye, and told myself, I belong here, and my voice counts. It felt forced at first, like I was auditioning for a role I hadn't earned, but over weeks, that posture became muscle memory, and I started believing it too. Try it yourself. Whisper to your reflection each morning, I've got this and I'm enough. Or scribble it on a post-it and stick it where you'll see it, like on your bathroom mirror or the edge of your laptop screen. It's a quiet revolt against self-doubt, a tiny act that lays a foundation others can't ignore. Inspired to shine? Don't miss out. Subscribe to Deep Quote Vibes for quotes that ignite your soul. Then, find a style that's yours alone, not some cookie-cutter imitation of someone else's, and wear it like armor that shields you from the world's relentless expectations. You don't need a runway budget. Some of my favorite pieces are treasures I've unearthed from thrift stores, like a quirky velvet blazer I snagged for $5 that makes me feel like I could headline a concert, or a pair of mismatched earrings that jingle faintly with every step, a little reminder to embrace my weirdness. It's about uncovering what sets your soul ablaze. Maybe it's a bold lipstick shade you've always shied away from, like a fiery coral that feels like a dare, or a pair of boots that clack assertively on the floor, announcing your presence before you even speak. When I stopped dressing to blend in, swapping safe neutrals for a scarf that screamed color, I felt like I was shedding an old skin. When compliments come, and trust me, they will, don't deflect them like I used to, muttering, "Oh, it's nothing," while staring at my scuffed sneakers. Instead, lift your chin, smile, and say, "Thank you," letting the words seep into your core. It's not arrogance. It's owning your light, and that shift rewires how you carry yourself. Build a personality that lights up a room by being present, kind, and open. Ask someone how their day went and actually listen. Share a story that sparks laughter. Let your warmth spill out like sunlight streaming through a cracked windowpane. I learned this the hard way. There was a time I'd hide behind my phone at parties, scrolling to avoid the awkwardness of small talk, too nervous to bridge the gap. But when I started putting it down, looking up, and asking questions, like, "What's the best thing that happened to you this week?" people leaned in, and I realized connection wasn't as scary as I'd built it up to be. Care for your body, not to squeeze into some unattainable mold, but to feel strong and alive. For me, that's less about gym selfies and more about dancing in my kitchen to 90s pop until I'm breathless and giggling, or cooking something that feeds my spirit. Think roasted sweet potatoes with a sprinkle of sea salt and a drizzle of olive oil. Simple but soul-warming. Pursue your goals with grit. I'll never forget the late nights I spent hunched over my laptop, fueled by lukewarm coffee, finishing a passion project I'd nearly given up on, only to realize that pushing through was its own reward, a quiet victory that outshone any applause. And let compassion guide your interactions. Text a friend a silly gif when they're down. Sit with someone who's unraveling, or offer a stranger a smile on a gray day. These aren't quick fixes or a checklist to race through. They're threads in a tapestry of a life that's rich, raw, and unmistakably yours, stitching you into someone unforgettable. Take my friend Sarah as a living, breathing example. She's proof this isn't just theory, but something you can live out, step by messy step. Sarah wasn't the type to stop traffic with her looks. Average height, a little quiet, with a wardrobe stuffed with oversized sweaters in muted grays and beiges, she used to laugh and call herself wallpaper material, present, but never the focal point. She worked in a beige cubicle at a mid-sized insurance firm, stuck in the same junior role for years, her days a blur of filing claims and dodging small talk by the coffee machine. But last fall, something clicked. She told me over a steaming mug of chai at our favorite cafe. I'm tired of fading into the background. I want people to see me, not just the girl who fixes printer jams. She didn't have a grand plan, just a flicker of resolve, so she started small, inspired by a TED Talk she'd stumbled across about how body language shapes perception. The next Monday, she walked into the office with her shoulders squared, chin up, even though her palms were sweaty and her heart thumped like a drumline. She dug out a bright red scarf her mom had given her for Christmas years back, one she'd shoved in a drawer because it felt too loud for her, and tied it around her neck like a flag of defiance. That first day, she felt like a fraud, like everyone could see through her shaky bravado. But then her coworker Tom, a chatty guy with a penchant for bad puns, stopped her by the water cooler. "Whoa, Sarah, you're bringing it today. Love that scarf." Instead of her usual shrug and mumble, she grinned, a real, unguarded grin, and said, "Thanks, it's my power color," shocking herself with how natural it felt to claim it. That moment lit a spark, and Sarah didn't let it fizzle out. Over the next few months, she kept pushing the edges of her comfort zone, bit by stubborn bit. She started speaking up in team meetings, offering ideas she'd once scribbled in the margins of her notepad, like a way to streamline the claims process that she'd been mulling over for months. Her voice wobbled at first, cracking under the weight of all those eyes, but each time she did it, the words came easier, and she noticed people nodding instead of glazing over. She brought her dry humor out of hiding, tossing out quips about the office's perpetually burnt coffee. "I think it's trying to unionize against us." And soon, her colleagues were chuckling, lingering by her desk to trade banter. One rainy Friday, she baked a batch of lemon cookies from her grandma's recipe, the kind with a zesty tang that wakes up your taste buds, and left them in the break room with a little note in her loopy handwriting. "Enjoy from Sarah." She didn't expect much, but by noon, people were poking their heads over her cubicle wall saying, "Sarah, these are amazing. Where'd you learn to bake like that?" And sticking around to chat about weekend plans or the latest Netflix binge. It wasn't just about the cookies. It was her opening a door, letting them in. She started running in the evenings too, not to chase a dress size, but because the cool air and steady rhythm cleared the fog from her mind. She'd lace up her sneakers after dinner, jog along the quiet streets of her neighborhood, the streetlights casting long shadows, and come back flushed and alive, her skin glowing with a sheen that no highlighter could fake. By spring, she'd worked up the nerve to pitch a project she'd been dreaming about, a client outreach idea she'd sketched out on a napkin one restless night, and when her boss, a stern woman named Linda who rarely cracked a smile, said, "This could work, Sarah, run with it," she didn't just nod politely. She walked back to her desk, closed her door, and did a little victory dance, fists pumping like she'd scored the winning goal. Sarah didn't morph into someone else. She grew into more of herself, peeling back the layers of doubt she'd worn like a second skin. Her colleagues noticed. Tom started calling her Red, with a teasing grin, and Linda pulled her aside one day to say, "You've got a spark lately, Sarah. Keep it up." Even I saw it when we'd meet up. The way her eyes lit up as she recounted her week, The way she'd lean in when I vented about my own chaos, the way she turned her muted little world into a space that hummed with life. Sarah's transformation wasn't a Hollywood montage with swelling music. It was messy, gradual, a series of small, gutsy choices that piled up like bricks in a wall. She didn't wake up one day as a new person. She built herself into one, proving that attractiveness isn't a gift dropped in your lap. It's a choice, a collection of tiny, brave steps that stack into a life that's undeniably, beautifully yours.